All right, checking one. Hey guys, it's Donny Coram, your foreclosure deals coach, and welcome to our weekly live Q&A session. As you probably already know, on this show, we discuss how to get started in investing in foreclosed real estate through my coaching program. And we also try to discuss some of the topics that are affecting the real estate industry right now. Now, this is a fully interactive show. I am live right now, so this is happening in real time, and I would love to chat with you. If you've got questions about real estate investing, if you're wondering how to get started, don't know where to get the funding, where to find your best deals, etc., this is your opportunity to spend a little bit of time with me to help you to get through the struggles that you're facing in getting started in your real estate investing career. So I hope that you'll stay tuned. I've got the comment section up, and I am excited, super excited to talk with you guys. So please ship your questions to me as you have them, and let's discuss some cool stuff in the real estate investing world today. Okay, so while we're waiting for those questions, a lot happening with the local banking system right now. No, you probably already heard about the Silicon Valley Bank closing. And as I mentioned, kind of in the topics here we started, good morning, Mr. Tingle. Thank you so much for joining me today. Greatly appreciate it, sir. Thank you. For those who don't know, we are in the presence of a legend in the real estate investing industry, Mr. William Tingle. So I am certain if you guys have some questions, he would be happy to jump in on that. If he's able to hang out for a little bit with us today, we'll be here. Thanks for joining us, Bill. Really appreciate it. All right. So a lot of stuff happening in the banking industry right now. And I'm going to share an article here that was published in the LA Times. And it, excuse me, it's speaking to, it wasn't just the Silicon Valley Bank, or more recently, the First Republic Bank that failed. It's the whole banking system. Now, this was published on May 1st, so just a couple of days ago now. And so, little frightening. I mean, obviously, you don't want to believe the press completely on their surface. They got a lot of incentive to, I guess, glamorize some of the issues, but this kind of hit home for me. What happened with the Silicon Valley Bank crisis, and how is it going to affect us as real estate investors? I'm so sorry. Let's get that frog out of the throat here. All right. So what are your thoughts on that? Well, what is the banking crisis? How did that impact you individually? And the answer is, unless you had an account at Silicon Valley Bank, which was primarily for tech startups, it probably had very little impact on you. So it's easy to kind of ignore the news if it doesn't affect you directly. But what this article kind of says is that it wasn't just the banking that's failing. In this case, First Republic Bank recently closed their doors in California, becoming the second biggest bank failure in U.S. history after the lender was seized by FDIC and sold to Chase Bank, JP Morgan Chase, okay? So what's happening is a lot of people are freaking out about money left in the banking system because the FDIC only insures deposits to a certain amount, $250,000 what the bank is insuring them for. So this is a problem. If you have more than $250,000 sitting in a bank that fails, you are now kind of out of that money. And that's a funny thing to think of, because we are used to thinking of banks as a pretty secure place to store our money. I mean, after all, they're a deposit institution. They shouldn't be risking that money or having any danger in that capital. But what we're seeing is, in this article in particular, it goes into detail on how they did some risky investments with the money, and they were able to, basically those investments failed, and now they've lost control of the bank, and it was taken over. Well, JP Morgan Chase was kind of forced in a lot of ways to buy the toxic assets, what was left over. This is important to you as an investor, because if banks are not soluble, okay, a lot of banks are sitting on what we call mortgage-backed securities, okay? And a mortgage-backed security is, in essence, the paper, the security instruments that secure the mortgage market. If these banks failed, as nice as it would be to think that those securities would no longer be the case, and you wouldn't have to pay your mortgage back. Would that not be awesome? The bank that held your mortgage failed, now you don't have to pay it. It sounds good, but it's simply not how the system works, okay? A bank failure simply means the depositors, the people who have money stored at that bank, are now no longer liquid. That money is now basically owned by the bank. When a new bank takes over, in this case, when JP Morgan Chase bought that bank, it made those deposits guaranteed again. They were securitized again. But it's a very hard thing to imagine for somebody who's got money safely parked into a bank to think that that money could just be taken away and could go away. Right? Think about your entire financial solidarity. You've got a bank account, more than likely. You're used to using your debit card to buy your burger for lunch today that you may be getting. You're used to having access to that capital. What if you had $10,000 in your bank account, you went to use your debit card just to find out that the bank had failed and that money was gone? How would that make you feel? Well, not so great, right? So this is what's happening in the banking industry right now. There's a lack, if you will, of security, right, in the entire bank industry. Not just the bank who's failed, but the fact that one bank can fail. If we go back to the mortgage crisis of 2008, 2009, you had a lot of very large banks failed simultaneously, making the money that backed those securities no longer valid. Okay, to react to that, the government stepped in, bought that paper out. Basically, they said the banks were too big to fail, and the essence of these banks failing would be a complete collapse of the American dollar. So they saved our butts back then in a lot of ways by saving the banks, or at least that was the belief system. Well, here we are in a very similar situation today, not with the same subprime mortgage industry that drove the banking industry down last time, but rather just that there were risky alternative investments that were out there. Let me tell you what some of those risky alternative investments were. At my peak as an investor, we had about $6 million in hard money loans out there to do the total of 47 flips we did in a year. Now, we didn't have all 47 houses at the same time. We were averaging somewhere between 7 and 8, but if you figure that some of them were really expensive houses, $600,000-700,000. Other houses were really cheap, but there were a lot of them at any given moment. There was a lot of securitized instruments that were super risky. When the market shifted and we saw a pretty big decline in property values, that money became unsecured in the sense that we couldn't sell those properties, okay? So we were now sitting on bad paper, and we weren't alone. There were a lot of banks who got into investment fever when it was so easy to flip a house because all you had to do was yell house for sale, right? And you would find yourself a buyer on that property. When that happened, a lot of smaller hedge funds and banks got into the game of lending out these quote unquote risky hard money mortgages. And now that paper is sitting tight. People are not getting access to that capital. This is going to impact you as a real estate investor because today there isn't as much access to capital for investors looking to do their first deal in the marketplace. As a matter of fact, if you're starting to do a deal right now, you're going to probably have to put between 20 and 25% down. You're still going to have to buy the property at 70% loan to value or better. So you got to find the deal of the century, and you have to put more money down than most people have access to, okay? This was not the case when the market was raging out of control. We were able to access capital cheaply. I had lenders doing 100% of the deal based on my track record and experience. We could borrow as much money as we wanted to do these deals because we had done so many deals. Today, they're a lot more conservative because they've lost some money on those deals. Private investors have taken a loss. These mortgage banks are taking a loss right now. We are in the process on some of these deals, and I want to be fully transparent with you that we're doing short sales on some of the deals that we were involved in because we got caught right in the center of the mortgage crisis, okay? Now, I'm not sharing any of this to freak you out, but rather to explain to you that this is the opportunity you've been looking for. You see, now a lot of people are not trying to get in the investment industry. Warren Buffett put it best. He said the secret to his success was finding out what everybody else was doing and trying to make money doing the opposite. Okay. And he was a genius at it. So a bunch of people right now are trying to sell houses. Is this a good time to buy? Well, the answer is if you're buying a deal, it is always a good time to buy. But today, you're going to need a little bit more financial backing. Now, some of my clients have come to me saying, I want to do a deal. I've got cash sitting in my account, or I got a HELOC I can write a check from, and I want to do a deal. I'm not worried about what the banking system's doing. And this is great. If you're in that position, I would love to chat with you about doing deals, because if you've got cash to move in this market right now, you're going to do extremely well, because there there are so many great deals hitting the market. I'm going to prove that to you here in just a bit. I'm going to hop into Privy. I'll show you just a couple of deals that I found this morning, okay? And I'm fully transparent because I want you to know that there are deals out there. However, if you're just getting started in the industry and you don't have $200,000, $300,000 laying around, then you're going to need some financing. Well, normal banks are not your solution for financing a flip. Why? Because they're used to selling 30-year mortgages to people who are at least going to live there for 3 to 5 years. Our strategy of flipping a house means you're going to buy the house, spend 4 to 6 weeks fixing it up, making it pretty. Then you're going to list it on the marketplace. And believe it or not, we're not selling in hours anymore, but we are selling relatively quickly. So you should be on the market for a week to 10 days if you priced it right and it looks well. All of my clients recently who have done deals have been in the market for a week or less once they came back to the market priced correctly. So we know for certain that nice houses priced accurately are still selling. However, you got to go back to this mortgage crisis. If you want to get into the game right now, your best bet is to bring in a coach like me. Why? Because you can leverage my experience with these lenders who are looking at these failing banks right now and going, they don't want to fail themselves. They don't want to be the bank that fails. They want to be out there pushing money out there. So if you're going to do real estate investing right now, your first step is to sign up with a coaching program where you can leverage the experience, in this case of me, to help you to do deals at a lower down payment. Here's what I mean. Whereas on your own, you would expect to put 20% down, maybe even 25% down. With me as your coach, your down payment will wander between 10 and 15%. Now, don't get it twisted. This is still a lot of money, right? If you're looking at an average price point of $300,000, you can expect to have to put $30,000 to $40,000 down to do your deal. And obviously, if you don't have that, we got to find a way to get that. But I can tell you that a lot of my clients come to me with a whole bunch of equity in their home who aren't leveraging that equity. That is one way you can get the money you need to do a deal, and it's still better than having to put 25% down. You don't need $200,000 in equity. You can get a deal done with liquidity of somewhere between $30,000 and $50,000, what I want to see my clients have when they get started. If you're on the early end on that, we're looking at properties in Pueblo that we can buy for $110,000, $120,000 and sell closer to $200,000, $210,000. If you've got $40,000 to $50,000 in liquidity or can access that through equity and et cetera, you're probably going to be here in the Springs where we're looking to buy deals in the twos, early to mid $200,000 range with the hopes of selling them for $400,000 or less. Okay. And we are doing this in real time. This is not theory. This is not, I hope we can pull this off. I've got clients right now who are buying in the mid to late $200,000 range, spending $40,000 to $50,000 fixing it up, and then selling the property for $400,000 or even more. And I'm going to give you some real world examples of that. But first, now that you know you need coaching to get leverage, let's talk about the deal you're actually going to buy. So I hopped onto Privy. By the way, if you haven't done so already, I'm an affiliate with Privy, and I do want you to sign up for Privy. But when you do so, please use my affiliate link. I would greatly appreciate that. I get a couple of bucks from Privy every month for people who are signing up. But also, I'd be willing to train you on how to set up Privy to be most effective to use for you if you sign up under my affiliate link. So please, if you haven't done so already, sign up for Privy. Here's the link below, bit.ly FDC Privy, or we actually also have FDCprivy.com working to get you there a little bit faster. Much appreciated on that. So getting back into it, I'm going to share my screen. We hop into Privy. And I want to show you the search criteria I use. We're giving all the information today. So you search by location. That's pretty obvious. You put in your county or location. I'm in El Paso County, Colorado. So we put that in there. I'm looking for fix and flips, as you can see here, in El Paso County that would be good fix and flips that are priced at 75% or less of what Privy perceives the market value. Now, again, this is an artificial intelligence. It's an algorithm. It's not perfect, but what it attempts to do, based on the criteria we just put in, is find properties that are priced at 75% or less of what they believe the market is worth on that property. So here's an example of one that popped up. It's on Circle Drive, kind of a busier street, but it's a 984 square foot house with a 984 square foot basement. Super important you pay attention to the basement statistics here. Looking at the inside, doesn't look so bad. We know it's on a busy street. And they're saying right in here, this is a great investor special, okay, located in the awesome Palmer Park neighborhood. So they're acknowledging that the property needs a little bit of work. This is ideal. We're looking for properties that need a little bit of work because people who need work on their property are motivated. If they wanted to do the work themselves, they would be doing the work themselves, but they would rather sell this property as is to an investor like you so you can do the work on the property or hire someone to do the work on the property, and now you get the profit. There are deals in every market everywhere. You just need to learn where to look for those deals, okay? And we have this ability right here on Privy. Now, this house is priced at $275. Is it a deal? Well, let's find out, shall we? We flip through here, and Privy also is kind enough to use the algorithm to give us what sold nearby. We refer to this as comparable sales, okay? So what has recently sold in the neighborhood? What we're looking at is distance, and Privy tries to be a mile or less from the location that we're working off of, okay? And you can see here that 1.38 miles away. Now it's a 6-bedroom, 3-bath, so a big jump in square footage and property type, but it went for $450. So we got to see this one, okay? And it's not on the busy street. We want to factor that in. It's on Northview. It's nearby, but this was clearly a flipper. This was somebody who at some point in the past believed, just like you, that they could never do this, okay? And now they're doing it. We don't know how many they're doing. We don't know if this is their first one or their 100th one, and it doesn't really matter. The point is normal people just like you saw an opportunity. They bought this property, they remodeled it, put in these nice gray countertops. You see the granite countertops, gray cabinets, new appliances. They took the steps necessary either on their own or they hired a contractor to do it, and they built themselves a gorgeous property, put it on the market. It sold on April 4th, so just literally a month ago or so, for $450,000, okay? So they obviously, we don't know what they bought it for necessarily. Maybe we can find out. Sometimes that data is in here, but we do know that they flipped it and they sold it and ideally made some money on it. We can't know for certain how much they made, and it's not super important. What it's telling us is that if we get our property to look like this property, we could theoretically sell close to this $450,000 amount. And that's the objective. So if we were buying this for $274 and selling it for $450, and by the way, I was kind of fumbling on what they paid for it. We just found that here. They bought this property for $295. So actually more than we're looking at on our subject property, and then sold it for $450. Let's just say they spent $75,000 on this remodel. And I doubt that, because that's a very expensive remodel. But let's use really high numbers here, okay? Let's say they sold it for $75,000. So they were into it for $370 and then sold it for $450. That's an $80,000 gross profit, okay? Would you be happy making $80,000 on your first deal? Well, of course you would. Of course you would. That the idea here is that we can make money by using money. Hey, Damien, we do need to connect, man. Thanks for stopping by. Glad to see you on the show today. Much appreciated. So yes, this is an opportunity to, obviously at $274, this is a deal we should be looking at. We should be evaluating what the comparable sales are going for in the neighborhood, and we should be determining if this is the right deal for you. All of this is included in my coaching package. So rather than you out there trying to find a deal on your own, trying to figure out where the deals are, getting stuck in analysis paralysis, wondering where your funding is coming from, you can literally go from where you are right now, wherever that happens to be in life, to flipping a property where we found the potential to make $80,000 after repairs on this property in gross profit, okay? And I don't want to oversell this. The objective here is that we find a deal where you make a minimum profit of $25,000 with the thought that you can make a lot more, but we definitely want a minimum profit of $25,000. As I look at this property back here on Circle, I'm going to hop this back open one more time. I can tell you, and I'm totally waggling this, okay? So this is years of experience speaking. I need to go see the property, but I look at it, and I would say we've got a $30,000 to $40,000 remodel to do on this one, right? I wouldn't expect to be 20 or 25. I would expect to be 30 to 40, and I wouldn't expect to spend 50 or 60. The house doesn't look that bad, okay? However, after paint and flooring and carpet and tile, we can guesstimate we might spend 40,000, maybe a little bit, 30 to 40 grand on this deal. If you bought this for 274, spent 40, even 45,000, let's say we find some stuff out of the ordinary on it. So we spent at 45,000 to 274, you're into it for 320, and that one comp went for 450, but that had some features we don't have. So let's look at what other comps are going for. We flipped through here to find that. So I'm going to look back at the other comparable sales. And one of the other comparables nearby went for 400, about a half a mile away. Another one went for 385. We've got a lot of stuff going for 425. So that seems to be kind of the average in the neighborhood. We then look at the neighborhood and just see what the houses that sold. This one sold for 420, and it's not like over the top remodel. It's a nice clean house, right? And it went for 420. It's the identical square footage. Look, they put in granite countertops, they updated the cabinets. So we're getting signs of what needs to happen in order to get to that 420 number. But once again, if we bought the property for 274, spent 40 or 50,000 on it, we would be at 325. If we're selling in the early fours, you're definitely going to make at least 25,000 on this deal, and probably a great deal more. But my objective is not to overpromise and underdeliver. And also, you got to keep in mind the property in question is on Circle. And for those who don't know the Colorado Springs market very well, Circle is a busier street, right? So it stands to reason we may not end up at 420. Here's another one on Bowser, same square footage, fully remodeled inside, right? Gorgeous inside, went for 400. So my opinion of value on this is a minimum of 400, right? And a high somewhere of 450. If we end up anywhere in between there and we're into the property for 325, you are crushing it on this deal, right? So you have nothing to worry about if you do your analysis properly. The saying in real estate that you're going to hear over and over again from me and any other real estate coach or professional is that you make your money when you buy. Okay, you realize that gain when you sell the property, but the money is made when you buy the house. Okay, so you have to buy the property correctly. What that means is not getting emotionally involved, not going, oh, this is a lot of work. It probably is a lot of work. If it was an easy house to do, if it were in gorgeous condition, they wouldn't be selling it for 275. Okay, they'd be selling it for closer to 400 grand. So yes, it's a lot of work. You're gonna have to write some big checks. But the good news is with my lenders, you can absolutely finance in the repairs of the property. So you're not paying for those repairs out of pocket. You're just managing the construction process from beginning to end. I want to wrap up with an example. Okay, and we use examples all the time, but I've got a couple of clients who are in deals right now, and I just want to congratulate Cindy and Stace one more time because they just completed their deal, went under contract. It actually fell out of contract within a day. So last week when I told you it went under contract, it didn't last. And then within a few days after that, got another full price offer on this property, and now they're under contract closing in about 30 days. Okay, let's look at the property. It's on Sanderson, actually not terribly far from this one we just looked at on Circle. 1425 Sanderson Avenue. Okay, a gorgeous job with the remodel. Got to give credit to Stace on that. Stace is Courtney's partner on the deal and a very handy dude who did a lot of the work himself, which cut some of the rehab costs. So if you're handy, that could work for you too. They staged it gorgeously. The only thing I would have done differently is done professional photography. I don't think we really captured the essence of the property, but we got it sold. That's what matters, for $440. They paid $285 for this, and it was a pretty hefty remodel. Courtney guesstimates that they spent about $70,000 on the remodel, which was a lot more than we expected, but this is the point. Even spending more than we expected, we went from $285 plus $65 to $70 in rehab, so you're all in on this at $350. $355 maybe, and it's on the market right now for $440, under contract, full asking price. They're going to make $60,000 to $70,000 on this deal, all said and done. And this is not a rarity. This is happening each and every single day with my clients who buy properties accurately, use my lenders to buy them, use my contractors to fix them, and then sell them using my discount agents that can prevent you having to pay 6% or more in commission. It's all happening in real time. It can certainly happen for you. Okay. The key is you got to head on out to foreclosuredealscoach.com. That's foreclosuredealscoach.com, or message me right here in the Facebook group, Foreclosure Deals Coach. Let's set up a time to chat about whether foreclosure investing is the right thing for you right now, okay? Because it isn't for everybody. It requires that you have the right mental state, some financial capability. I am only taking on clients who I 100% believe that I can help to do their first deal. If we look at your finances and it's just not going to work, we're not going to do it. I'm not in the business. A lot of gurus out there, a lot of coaches out there whose whole essence is just to make money from selling their knowledge. I'm not in that business. My objective is to make sure that everybody who signed up for coaching is able to change their life through real estate investing. I'm going to help you to find the deal, help you to analyze the deal, fund the deal, fix the deal, sell the deal at a profit so you can move on to your next deal and change your life financially by making big money flipping real estate. I know that you can do it. It's just a question of when you get started. All right, we are over our 25-minute time frame. Let's talk for a little bit. I'll let you guys ask some questions. I'll give you a few minutes to ask questions, whoever's still left over here. If you have any, what questions do you have about bank failure, funding deals, or getting into your first deal? Does anybody out there need to ask a question today about real estate investing or how this bank crisis may impact us as investors? Let's open it up real quick for questions if you have any. Don't be shy. I'm real. If you pinch me, I say ow. I know this is a strange forum. For those who would rather just talk to me personally, message me. You know, I get questions all the time about getting started in real estate investing. I love this. I'm super passionate about it. So there are no dumb questions out there, guys. The only thing you can do that would be dumb is not getting started from lack of information. Okay. So if you don't have any questions right now, that's okay. But if you down the road, I would be happy to work with you. Let me know how I can help. I want to thank everybody who tuned in today. William Tingle, thanks for being here, man. You've been showing up weekly, and I really, really appreciate it. If I haven't told you, I just thank you so much for continuing to show up. Bill is a legend in the real estate investing industry, so having him on my show is it's a huge honor. Thank you so much for doing so. And we need to have you on live sometime, man. Just have you talk to the people and answer some questions. So let's set up a time to do that. For the rest of you guys, thank you for tuning in each and every single week. Don't make this where your investment journey stops, though. Let's do some stuff together. Let's get together, talk about coaching, see if it's the right fit for you. And if it is, I would love to work with you on getting your first deal done with guaranteed results of $25,000 minimum profit on getting a deal done. But I can tell you a lot of my clients are blowing that number away. I'm so proud of you guys who have taken that first step and are now doing your first deal. I'm looking forward to doing that long term with each and every one of my students. With that, we're going to wrap it up. I thank you guys again for showing up. Thanks for the time, and we will talk to you soon. This is Donny Coram, your foreclosure deals coach, reminding you yet again, don't buy a house, buy a deal.